It's the 119th matchup between the Montana Grizzlies and the Montana State Bobcats here at Bobcat Stadium. It's a noon kickoff. Jason Alvine, Zach Mackey here. And Zach, you look at this game and not only is it big, but it's number 3 Montana versus number 8 Montana State. Both teams in the playoffs, both teams an opportunity for a first round bye with a victory. So the stakes have been cranked up here this afternoon.
That's the thing, I remember coming in back in August and everyone's talking about the Cat-Griz game. Bobcats have won the last 3 straight, have dominated this series as of recently, and, just how big that rivalry, how fun it is. Well, then you add the pressure of, how it's going to factor into the playoffs. You got a top 10 matchup. I mean, it just amplifies this game a little bit more.
And you look at it, Montana, the number 1 rush defense in the conference. I'll give them that 0.1 percentage point of rush yardage that they've earned, but nearly number 1 in rush yardage versus Montana State, who rushes for 258 yards per game. What does Montana State have to do to establish that run game and be one of the first teams to rush for over 130 yards against Montana?
It was funny. We had our coaches show yesterday, talked with Coach Joe, and he said something's going to give. Either way, one of those teams are going to have to do it, and I think a lot of it's going to be like it typically is up front. And, the Bobcats just really, even the opponents where they've had to fill out of that first half, they've worn them down to the second half. And I think, just the way that this team is up front, the ability they have to play an entire game, I think that front offensive line is going to have to wear down Montana.
Well, you mentioned the offensive line, and that was a big question mark for Montana coming into this season, especially after the way last year's game ended. They have seemed to kind of turn the corner, but there's also Marcus Knight, the junior college running back transfer that has 18 touchdowns on the year. Their run game has taken a dramatic leap forward. Yeah,
what a spark he's been able to deliver. I know there was something in the offseason they were looking to try to establish that and get more of a run presence, and he's been a guy that they've been able to rely on through the tackles. He can run hard, and he's had a really nice year this year.
Dalton Sneed is a quarterback that missed a couple games with a little bit of a nick there, came back against Idaho, really gave them life against a team that they were struggling with there in the first half. And then last week against Weber State, Montana was absolutely dominant against the number 3 team in the country. What does Dalton Sneed bring to this table for this Montana Grizzlies team?
Well, I think he brings a really good passer. I mean, he's one of the better passers in this league. The real thing that's going to be key to look at is that he went out with that ankle injury. How mobile is he still? How can he move around? Because it was a big element of his game early on in this season.
And he's got such weapons in this. Samari Toure is coming off a 150-plus yard performance for the 3rd straight week. He was named the Big Sky Offensive Player of the Week for that performance against Weber State. Big target on the outside, but then there's Jerry Louis McGee as well, the all-time leader in catches at Montana. A very formidable receiving core for the Grizzlies.
The thing about those guys, too, is they'll throw it to one-on-one coverage and just say, hey, we trust our guys to go up and get after this football. And, they do a great job at getting up, high pointing that ball, and they've got a couple of guys that they really trust in that wide receiver crew. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Well, it should be a good one here in Bozeman. It's a noon kickoff here on the Bobcat Sports Radio Network. Join Zach Mackey, the Hall of Famer Dan Davies, and myself at 11 for the pregame show. For MSUBobcats.com, I'm Jason Alvine.